drinks at night,
Yeah,
it's not worth it.
and like I said, we struggle to drink all the wine, the 2 bottles of wine per room, so.
But what I kinda like that non-alcoholic package and then augment that, because I'm a Diet Coke drinker, and I like my bottled water, so I mean, I was just very casual about that. And then with this, since you have your 2 cocktail parties as well, you get a little bit with that. You can also buy the bottle. If you don't drink your whole bottle of wine, they'll keep it for you until the next night. So there's a lot of different ways to go about that.
That would make sense.
Can I move forward?
Are there comments coming
Yeah,
up
where's
there?
the foul?
Cause they're not here now. What do they say here?
That's a great
Oh, I
question.
can.
So,
Just
is
read
it
what
okay
they
if
say.
I answer,
I
I'm
can't
gonna
see
answer
it.
questions, so. He asked about, the app. The app, you do not need to purchase internet to use. It's completely free to use, other than there's a
I can
chat.
hear.
There's like a guest-to-guest chat, that's $1.99 per person per day, or per device. But you don't have to use the chat feature, to use the app, so you can, what's great about it, it's kind of like an Outlook calendar or an Apple calendar, how you can literally add things throughout the day onto your calendar through the app. And so that way you can get notifications like, oh, we have this coming up in the calendar and things like that, but it's completely free to use the app.
The last port, Boston. Boston has, so much to do. If you're a history buff and you want to do the Revolution, you can do the Revolution. If you want to go to Harvard, you can go to Harvard and say even, that you went to Harvard. You can do cruise the harbor. You can do shopping tours. Oh, I should mention, I can't remember which place in Maine. There's an excursion that is the bus to like the LL Bean, like the big LL Bean in the sky. You can go to Cape Cod. That's a long day. I think a couple of these are like 8 or 9 hours. So you do one of these, you're not going on the knitting crawl because you need to get back to the ship. But some of them, they do have a lot of half-day excursions in Boston that are very nice. Okay, now I think we're getting into dining. Everybody wants to know about dining. Okay, so there are 3 primary complimentary. These are the complimentary options. These are the additional options. So you have your main dining room. You have the Windjammer, which is the buffet, which is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then you have the Park Cafe, which Amy mentioned earlier, that has the snacks and things like that, that's often open very, very late. The way the main dining room works, right now for this cruise, the only set time available, the early dining is sold out, so the only set time available is 8 p.m. Or you can do what's called My Time Dining, which is what the vast majority of the people I already have registered for this cruise are registered for. With My Time Dining, you will use the app to be able to make a reservation for the main dining room anywhere between, I'm going to say 5 and 9. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility instead of being locked into a particular set time to go to the dining room. You may end up with a different server team and a different table every night, but that's not, but you have an assignment. You're going to get into the dining room. They're not going to check you out. But this way, if you're doing a late excursion, not a problem. You just book a late dining. If you know you're going to want to eat early, excuse me, you can book a 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and you're good to go. Yes, ma'am.
Are we going to have a table for the knit-alongs?
So it depends. It depends on, once I get everybody booked, I'm going to look at who has selected what times. I'll talk to all my 5 o'clock people. I'll ask them if they want me to book them together as much as possible. I'll talk to all my 8 o'clock people and see if they want to be booked together. The My Time people, I think, is more challenging, isn't it?
So with My Time, we can't really seat everyone together unless you make a reservation together. But the maitre d' will be, they'll work with you best possible if you show up together. The benefit of my regular time dining, not the My Time, but just regular dining, is that, like Carol said, you get the same server every night, you get the same table every night, the same time every night. So if you had a buddy or a partner or another family that you love to travel with, you could, request to be at the same table every night together dining. And it's nice because the servers do get to know you. They get to know, oh, she likes the red wine, not that red wine, this red red wine. You know, they get to know what you like, and it's, you know, they get to know your personality and things like that. So
I had 6 people, friends that I knew, who I just cruised with, and I ate with them a couple of nights, and they have 4 children, and 2 of them had cheesecake every single night, and 3 of them despised strawberries, and 2 of them liked strawberries on their cheesecake, but 1 of them did not, and so the waiter would be like, naked cheesecake, dressed cheesecake, and would bring the correct cheesecake, you know, every single night. He knew exactly what she wanted, how she wanted it, the 10-year-old, and you know, everything went swimmingly. So that is a nice benefit. But here's the other thing: if you have people that you know that you're traveling with, like friends from here together, and I know that you kind of want to be linked together, I can link your reservations for dining purposes. So that it'll be easier in the app. You would be able to see one another when you make a dining reservation. You can say, you know, this is for these 6 people or these 8 people.
So you can make a reservation for a regular time, a set time every night then? And
Through
it's
My
up to
Time
you?
Dining, you can. Yes,
Okay, but that's through My Time, not through you,
correct. That's
Okay.
all on the app.
and that's on the ship.
and
Yes.
you can also talk to the maitre d'. They have maitre d' open hours. So
Mhm.
if you wanted to talk to the maitre d' and say, you know,
Okay.
this is what my needs are, is there any way that you can work with me? Or, you know, the early dining is sold out, can you fit me in My Time Dining every single day
Mhm.
for early? And they'll accommodate.
Okay,
But I can tie those reservations together so that you'll see each other to be able to select to eat
Exactly.
together.
okay,
Right.
thank you.
And then you have the specialty dining options, Chops Grill, Steakhouse,
So good.
excellent food, worth a visit. The Chef's Table, do I need to come? Chef's Table. I have not done the Chef's Table.
Oh my gosh, you guys. You have to book it. Okay, so it's a 5-course meal. There's only, I think, 15. Can they hear me?
Should be
Yeah.
able to.
Okay, so there's about 15 seats around the table, and similarly to what is called Chef's Table, there's a podium where the chef can speak to the wine pairings and the meal that he's prepared. Again, it's a 5-course meal. I strongly encourage booking in advance because it's such an intimate experience that for 15 seats, they go very quickly. It's just over $100 typically per person, which for a 5-course meal in the Northern Virginia, DC area, that's a great price. So, also, I don't know, I think a lot of you like wine. I see there's some wine bottles, but I didn't know there were 5 types of wine glasses until I saw the table at Chef's Table. That's Chef's Table. And then Cafe Latitudes is our, like, it's like an a la carte coffee place. So we use Starbucks coffee on board. So if you wanted to order like a mocha or a alcohol coffee, or, you know, they have such a variety. A fun fact and a little tip for you about Cafe Latitudes is even though the coffee is a la carte, the food is completely included in your cruise fare. And since regular coffee and tea is part of your cruise package, they also have regular coffee and tea available. It's just the specialty coffees that are a la carte.
Speaking of wine, there we go.
Wine, yes.
We have some more to open if we need to.
Oh, this was nothing else.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about the bottom line here. These are the 2 stateroom types that are currently available in the inventory for the Stitch group. That does not mean that these are the only staterooms that are available, although the vast majority of the balconies are gone. I think the only ones that I've seen lately have been the odd balcony guarantee and maybe some junior suites. So this is the cruise fare only. Taxes and fees are additional, plus daily gratuity that you can either prepay or you can put on your daily account. So the inside stateroom, we have it $584 per person. The ocean view, $784 per person. If you are single and you want your own stateroom, what you do is you take this times 2, but you only add 1 set of taxes and fees. So there's a little bit of a discount there, but there is a single supplement that you would pay for booking that way. Deposits are $500 per stateroom, regardless of whether there's one person or two in the stateroom. If you book the group rate, then that deposit is fully refundable up to final payment. There are some slightly lower fares for some of these same staterooms, but the deposit is non-refundable. So it kind of depends on what you want, what your priorities are. We can talk about what your risk tolerance is, and whether you'd rather save $20 or $30 or have the ability to have a refundable deposit. That said, final payment is May 27th, so it's coming up right around the corner. If the Royal Caribbean confirmation says final payment is May 27th, final payment for me is gonna be May 20th. I don't make payments on the day that they're due, because that's the day that the whole credit card system crashes, and I mean, it happens all the time. No, go ahead.
You
Yes.
notify us, send the email.
Yes, absolutely. My system sends out so many emails. I actually go in and I delete some of the automatic emails, like, you know, your cruise is coming up, it's still coming up, and I'm like, okay, I'm sure they know. And you will get a final payment reminder as well. But people always say, well, I thought it was on this day. I said, well, that's because I said it early so that we have this conversation, and you let me know about the fraud on your credit card that happened 3 months ago, so I don't have a good number for you anymore. So that happens a lot these days.
So that's the only ones that are available?
Those are the two that we have available in the inventory for the group. So if you want a different stateroom category, then we need to talk about what's available. But most of the balconies are sold out. There are some that have been popping up, but we'd have to talk about that.
No, I just want one or two with a window.
Yes, that was the.
There was an ocean view on the right side.
I'm not sure. How
That,
to-
oh, I
just
thought
couldn't
that
see
was a
the window.
balcony.
No, that was an ocean.
Oh, that's
view.
fine, good.
Yeah, this is an ocean view. So that's
Okay.
the window. This is the interior.
Nice.
With your
And
with
they're
your
very
mirror.
spacious. I mean, telling you from just sailing in December on this exact ship, they look small in these pictures, but they're really spacious. And
Yeah.
a little tip for you guys is that was built in the 90s. This was before USBs and things like that. So just know there's a little USB cord in your TV. So if you need an extra charger, keep your TV on a channel with like no light, and you can charge your phone through there. There is, I think, these are the only outlets right here. And then you can also they have a European outlet, so you can get, transfers and things like that, but there's only one outlet in the room.
So
And
there
this
are
is- What deck is it on?
several. They're on several decks available right now. I've been putting most of the people in the ocean views on deck 3, and midship, mid-aft, and aft. I tend to avoid forward, just
Mid's
because.
good.
Yep. And I've also been trying to put them close to the elevator, but not too close. The conference room is on deck 6, right as you get off the elevators on deck 6. So putting people there seems to have been pretty good. Some people prefer deck 2. They've asked for it, but there are some ocean views on deck 4, but you've got public areas on deck 5. So that's why I avoid deck 4 unless I absolutely have to, just on the off chance that you're going to hear the herd of 12-year-olds running some cafe latitudes, to get more caffeine or something like that. Okay, book. Let's talk about the booking. Here's why I recommend, if you're thinking about doing this cruise, that you book by March 31st. Royal Caribbean announced last week, or the week before, that their Cruise with Confidence program will be ending as of March 31st. What that means is that if you book a cruise, you have it booked for the remainder of 2022, I think it is, and you decide you're not comfortable cruising or you can't cruise for some reason, you can cancel for any reason up to 14 days prior to the cruise, 48 hours.
48 hours.
48 hours, sorry, even better. 48 hours prior to the cruise for a 100% future cruise credit. You'll get refunded your taxes and your fees, or or shore excursions, or your prepaid gratuities, but the cruise fare itself will be issued as a future cruise credit that can be used for up to 1 year from that date of cancellation. So that's a nice little benefit to have, because as of April 1st, if you book, you're booking under standard cruise terms and conditions, which means that once you hit that final payment date of May 27th, as we get in, if you choose to cancel, there's going to be a penalty with certain amounts of money that's not refundable to you. So, yes,
So
ma'am.
that,
Include if you have the insurance.
So otherwise, we talk about insurance. I'm a huge proponent of insurance. A lot of people say, well, this cruise is just going into the United States. We're going outside of U.S. territorial waters. So if you are on Medicare, you will not have coverage once you're on that ship and it's outside of territorial waters, and the ship will charge you, and then you need to file with your insurance company for whatever problem that you might have had on board. So I recommend, I offer Allianz travel protection. I've got a couple of different programs. One that's a cancel for any reason at all, any time, that will give you up to 80% back. But both of them will give you 100% back if you cancel for a covered reason, which is I fell and broke my leg. I tested positive for COVID. However, Royal Caribbean is giving refunds to people who test positive for COVID, so that's not been a problem right there. I live with somebody who tested positive for COVID. A tree fell on my house. All of those kinds of things are covered with that. So when I book you, I will send you a booking hold from Royal Caribbean that you can look over. It will include quotes for insurance as well, so that you can look at that and we can talk about which coverage you would prefer to have. So I'm a big stickler about that. Which reminds me, and I meant to have a slide about this and I didn't. Technically speaking, this cruise does not require a passport because it's a closed loop cruise sailing out of the United States, as long as you are a US citizen. You have to have a birth certificate and a government form of ID that matches that birth certificate. If it doesn't match because you got married, you can bring a marriage license. I don't recommend doing this. There was a Norwegian cruise line cruise that ran aground in the Dominican Republic, I think it was, or somewhere. Baby's like, last week or the week before. And the people who were on that closed loop cruise with birth certificates had a little bit of a moment because they didn't have passports, and Norwegian had to jump through hoops in order to get them arranged through the U.S. consulate to be able to fly them back home. If there is a medical emergency in Canada and you have to get off the ship and go to a hospital and stay there, you're going to have a lot harder time getting home after that if you don't have a passport. So definitely recommend that you bring the passport, that you sail with the passport, but technically you can cruise without it. So I'll leave that at that. Okay, now back to the fun stuff. So book by March 31st so that you are covered with cruise with confidence. And if you book by March 31st, I'll also throw in a little stateroom amenity for you that'll be delivered to your stateroom at some point during your cruise. How am I going to collect information? This is my favorite slide. So everybody's going to come up and take a picture of this. No. This is actually a QR code to a form that you can complete on my iPad or on your phone or on a computer, or when we're done here, if you want me to sit and type it in, it's just going to collect your name and information. If you prefer to do it the old-fashioned way, there are some pads on the table that more or less collect the same information. The pads on the table, however, don't include like what stateroom do you think you want, but it does give me your name, your phone, your address, all of the information, and if you could just write on there, Stitch Cruise, please call me, or we can sit here for a little while this evening real quick and I can collect your information. If I collect your information, then you're eligible for the raffle, which was the other fun part, which is we're going to raffle off $100 onboard credit. Ideally, we would use, yes, your name here on $100 credit. Ideally, you would get this for the Stitch Cruise to use it. However, it's technically valid for bookings made through May 31st for a 2022 cruise. So if you give me your information, you don't book the Stitch cruise, but you win, you still get your $100 as long as you book the cruise this year. But so we're gonna do that here in a little while. End of slide.
We did have a question earlier
Yes.
on how many have signed up so far for the Stitch Cruise?
I have 20, I'm gonna count the one lady that I've talked to, but I'm still going back and forth. We have 27 people so far.
Wow.
So will people be coordinated as far as if they wanna eat together or?
Mhm. Yep, you can let me know if you book with friends or you know people and you want to, or if you just say, you're open to be coordinated with others who are booked through Stay Here. So I'll give you an example. We were scheduled to do this in August of 2020. I was doing it with another, she who shall not be named, but unfortunately, sadly, I know, it was a good friend of mine. She went out of business. She couldn't hack it through COVID, and she folded her business. I was thrilled when I found Untangled Pearls, and I met Kathy. Kathy was like, that's kind of an interesting idea. And I, love putting this together with Jack. So, and really happy to have Payne's House. She's going to talk about that here in a minute too with the knitting. So, 80% of my ladies who booked 2 years ago, 85% of them have already booked for this cruise. I've got a group from Ohio, I've got a group from Maryland, I've got people from Georgia, Washington State or Oregon, I can't remember which, I think somebody from California. They're finding it on Facebook and they're calling. So we've got a really interesting mix of people who have booked. Yes, ma'am?
Random questions I've never been on cruise. How, like luggage?
You can bring as much as you want.
As much as I can fit in a group.
I encourage you to bring one carry-on with you. That way, if your luggage that the porters have, don't get, for some reason, get your luggage to you until 7 o'clock or whatever. You at least have a change of clothes, you can freshen up before dinner,
Right.
medications, all, normal carry-on type of things. But
You're gonna get a luggage tag. I'm gonna give you a luggage tag that's gonna go on your bag. That's gonna you're gonna hand it to the porter who's gonna take it and it's gonna be delivered to your room. I recommend packing an empty tote bag or a collapsible bag because dirty clothes take up more space than clean clothes, inevitably. And then that's the excuse I always tell my husband, but it's really because of the souvenirs that I bought. So you've got some
Like
room.
empty suitcase.
You gotta have room for stuff.
You're gonna be carrying a lot more yard.
That's true. That's true. Your goodie bag.
The people online are wondering if they're eligible for the raffle because, well, like the Deborah Zotin is asking, but she already signed up for the cruise.
Who?
Deborah is online.
Yes.
She already signed up for the cruise, and she's wondering if she's also
What is her last name?
on Facebook. Zotain, Z-O-T-I-A-N.
Oh, okay.
So she's wondering, and then if she's eligible for the raffle.
Well, if we have people, I'm more than happy to have somebody be a proxy to take a suitcase of patience for her, and we'll
Okay.
see if you'd like to be a proxy for her. That's fine.
Just some of our employees that are.
Sure. Okay.
And Tammy Stewart.
Tammy. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, you've got that, okay.
Do you
Do
want
we have
one
Tammy?
bag or two?
I
Do you
took
have,
one.
well, why don't you take one for your mom? Here we go.
And Shannon Michaels. Okay, so Deborah, you got L U. I can't read what you're
Luzerne.
typing. Okay, thank you. Because it's in marker, I wasn't
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Yeah.
And then Diana Schmidt.
Schmidt. Oh, good. Oh, yes. Okay.
Where is it? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna another question? Or stretch.
Internet or whatever.
Boom.
What do we
Shannon
need?
Michaels.
Fastest internet to see.
So there's 2 different types of packages for internet. I recommend booking pre-cruise, like I said. But the on-board pricing, there's Voom and then there's Voom Surf and See. So the Voom regular package is like, maybe you type up your text and then put it into Facebook type of thing. But the Surfancy is like internet that you have at home. You can FaceTime, you can watch Netflix, you can make phone calls if you have Wi-Fi problems.
Limited to the one device specific.
So it's technically for one device, but it's a code, and you can switch the code from one device to another device.
So the only thing is that two devices can't do it at the same time.
They can't be doing it at the
So
same
if she
time.
was using it and I wanted to use it, I'd be having to get all the time.
She logs out, you log in.
So our phones don't work on the cruise ship.
You need to be very careful. So if you check with your carrier, you wanna go into airplane mode or you wanna turn off your cellular, because if it picks up, like, if it picks up and you're roaming, they'll charge you a lot. If you don't have a
Some
What if
program.
you have
companies
what if
allow
you have
it.
international, you're covered on
If,
international?
yes, as long as, but still talk to them about what
Let's double
the
check
cruise
with your-
situation is. It can be dangerous, but I hopped back and forth between my computer and my phone because I had a one device plan.
Right.
But with two people, it's a little bit
And some
harder.
companies like do like a $10 a day when you're overseas type of thing.
Yeah, that's what I
Sure.
said.
Double check, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have a quick stretch your legs. This has gone a little bit longer, I'm sorry, but we've had a lot of great questions. And then Jax is gonna have her presentation on the classes. If you do have any questions about doing a registration or you want the lead form on the iPad, I'm happy to give that to you while we're having our break. Okay? Thank you for handling the.
Patty Dye would like to sign up for this. She said.
Right.
So what does Patty do? You can talk to Patty right now into the computer.
My slide. Oh, hold on 1 minute. Let me see if she can see. I have a slide for that.
Did it make you change your
Here
mind?
it is. So I lost this.
Don't you want to come and room with me? Woo, 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 woo.
Right here. Okay.
You ready? Oh, I don't care.
Royal Caribbean does.
Patty, is that hi, Patty?
Say hi, Patty.
Hi, Patty. So I had a slide. I'm very sorry it didn't come up, but the easiest way for you to sign up would be to go to my website, which is www.tinybubbles.travel.com. And on that website, there's a link for special cruises. You can find Stitch Cruise 2022. It takes you to the registration page. Or you can call me at 703-719.
Sorry, I hit return. Okay. 703.
719-2802. Or email at carol.pratt@cruiseplanners.com.
AT. Carol.
Carol.Pratt, P-R-A-T-T.
Oh. Hold on. Why is it doing this?
You don't have an office.
We have frozen.
I work from home. I have a home office. But I'm happy to meet you anytime, anywhere.
No, I didn't sign up yet.
Because I was definitely going to book this.
I'm frozen on the computer. But not on there.
You're good. You're good. You're set.
I'm good to meet you. I'm Jolie. Yes. Early on, and I did fill out a card anyway. Oh, it died? And sometime I will turn that over to you because I have
Okay. And what is your name? Rose. Very nice to meet you. Yes. I can show you, and I can show you where to go on the website too. Royal Caribbean. Okay, so I can access your Crown and Anchor visa. We'll pull you up. No problem. There's a few more. This was our only ball.
I usually get mentioned in the cabin, but I did book an exterior sunflower seed butter. Because I thought we might walk to the
I got on the ship.
coast,
I just
and I kind of wanted to see the coast to walk close to.
and
What are you going to do? Do you know? Are you sharing that cabin with your sister? There is a big difference in price. It's like $300, so I don't know.
I don't plan to spend much time in my room.
I know. I'm not either, but my son said, Mom, it may be a bigger room and it might be nicer than
I prefer the room systems with
a couple $100 per room.
Are we still on, Shelley? Yeah, okay.
I'll send a survey.
And then you divide it by 12, so I don't know.
It's getting a little late, I wanted to go ahead and just start.
So I don't know.
The chops grow.
But I'm doing a cabin by myself, so I don't know.
All right, we're gonna get started again for Nitty Jacks.
Yeah, she's like,
But then I see the beds in front of the window, so I don't know if there's going to be
alright.
Who's in my computer?
I didn't talk to her about it.
Not whatever, but a little.
Give this one. So, I'm Jax.
All right, ladies, Jax is gonna do her presentation.
So, I'm Jax. I'll be the knitting instructor on the cruise, stitch instructor there, because we're gonna try to incorporate all crafts. Classes are designed to do from the beginners all the way up to advanced. You're gonna learn something, whatever your craft is, whatever your skill level is. So, we do have a pattern that's been written just for our cruisers. It's a knitted pattern. For the crochet option, I'm working on curating based on what yarn is gonna be in your swag bag. A few patterns to choose from. A lot of the questions that you might have are probably going to be answered tonight, but some details we're gonna kind of eke out a little bit as we get closer to. My plan is to, once we get through tonight, set up a Facebook group for all the cruisers who are registered to start building connections, community, start learning more about each other. I think some folks have asked about carpooling up to Baltimore, arranging dinner reservations, things like that. If you're not on Facebook, we'll still have all of these. Anything that's posted in the Facebook group is also going to be emailed to you. So that's coming. So if I don't answer your questions tonight, it may be something that you can get from that. So we already learned about our ports. There are yarn stores in every port except for Bar Harbor. We're working on, we're working on something special with some local artists, trying to set up a pop-up shop. Again, as we're building all of this, more information will become available and we'll release it as we have it. So Boston, Portland, Bar Harbor, and St. John. Bar Harbor is the only one that doesn't have a specific yarn store. There's all sorts of fun stuff to do there, but won't be that. So on sea days, I think, what does Royal Caribbean call them? Cruise days, I think. When we're not in port, we're on ship. The afternoons, it'll be, I don't remember the exact times, between 12 and 3, we'll have classes. There will be 3 classes and you don't have to come to them. I think you're gonna want to. The first one that I've planned, I don't know which day they're gonna be on yet, is fiber craft techniques from around the world. So it'll be kind of like a history of things like null bending. We'll look into what makes Tunisian crochet different from actual crochet. We'll learn Portuguese knitting. So we'll do kind of a little presentation and a little bit of time to try out each of the different techniques that my husband will be coming on the cruise. I don't know if anybody else is planning on bringing a husband. He's also a fiber artist and he will be there for this class. Other than that, we might not see him. We'll see.
It would be in the casino?
I'm gonna put somebody on that. Yeah. So another class that we have is looking at Fibonacci, which is a mathematical sequence found in nature. We're gonna look at what it is and how we can incorporate it into our projects, whether it's weaving or knitting or crocheting, how to incorporate that into it's a sequence found in nature that makes things pleasing to the eye. You're gonna recognize it on like some subconscious level. I'm gonna give away all the secrets, but that's, don't be afraid because it's mathematical. It's gonna be fun. And oh, you see it says some supplies provided. In your bag that you get when you board in our welcome party, it'll be a graphing notebook and some color pencils, so we can use that for this class and for color theory. So I like to break color rules. Like,
I can't break the rules.
Right, Shelley?
We'll be learning color rules and what's pleasing to the eye and how to break those rules for fun, fresh, trendy. And again, it goes for not just knitting, but for crochet, for weaving. We'll be looking at all sorts of applications for that.
Now, is there only one class per, the ones you mentioned?
So 1 class per day, because I'm the only instructor. On C days, between 12 and 3, it's a 2-hour class, and I don't remember exactly which time. So each one of these will be on a different day.
Okay,
So
and
that's-
everybody can get in and not.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I've made it, I planned it so it's not gonna be as, like if you were to take a technique class here at the store, I'd be sitting at a table with a handful of people. This will be a broader scope. So, what else do we wanna learn about? Daily tea time, which is gonna be our afternoon. On port days, but not on C days, I believe, if I have that right in my head. Oh, sorry, it says port and C days.
I think it is every day.
It is
We
every
looked
day.
at that, yeah.
So I've got a couple of different games planned. We're also going to, I believe, do a yarn tasting from Barocco. A yarn tasting, yes. And we'll be doing raffle ticket entries. If you go see a store on our yarn crawl, bring your receipt in, I will give you a raffle ticket. And then each of the yarn stores has donated something to a big basket. So we'll do a drawing. There'll be, I think, 2 or 3 baskets. Coffee, tea, snacks, games, and prizes. And that's our afternoon spot. So morning spot is a stitch lounge. We'll have a knit along. So the yarn that you get in your swag bag is from Haynes House. We had some, not this colorway, but this is an example of the yarn. It's a DK yarn.
I don't know if any of these are there. This is the DK weight. So you can take it.
And the pattern calls for a size 6 needle.
Couple colors.
It
And then
is
this
one of those
is
patterns
theirs
where-
also.
Gauge won't matter, so if you don't have a 6, 7, a 5, it'll be fine.
Oh, that's nice.
I would go, that's a good question. I would go 24 inches at least. And that's, again, when we set up the Facebook and send out more updates as we lead up to the cruise, we'll be making sure. The Facebook group is also gonna be, some things like news from the cruise industry and countdowns, like, hey, it's probably time to pack this, and these are the things you should be, so, yeah. But when the pattern is not, it's not very difficult, but if you need help, this is a time when you can go and sit and knit with other folks that'll also be doing the same project, so you can be all knitting the same thing at the same time, get help. Yeah. So, might be my last slide. Yep. So the swag bag, I mentioned at A.T. Haynes House Yarns. We will have a pattern. One of the employees here, Miss Peg Langdon, she's written the pattern for us. There will be some stitch markers in there. Aside from instructing here and general sales help, I also have a business that it's been 7 years making stitch markers, so those will be in the bag as well. Your notebook, colored pencils, some other surprises. Your pattern will be in there, and the bag itself will be printed Stitch Cruise 2022. So it's a nice package. Some things in there, like I said, you'll find out when you get on board.
Question from online is from Jane Dotson. What if you are allergic to wool? Is there any ways to get another yarn? And we're working with Haynes House to try and get a blend that does not include wool for those that are allergic.
Yep, we are working on that. I will go ahead and email Terry this week, see where we are on that.
She sent me a little blurb and already, so that's why I say, but we gotta just finalize it with her.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Yes, Doreen.
How do we get to the different yarn shops for the yarn girls?
Very good question. Thank you.
Ah,
I, in your swag bag, will be making up a brochure. It's a nice big piece of paper folded 3 ways. Each panel is a different port. It will have the yarn stores that are in that port, what they offer that's specific to that town. If it's something special that they have that's local. It'll also include things like, well, their address and their hours of operation. It will include what their mask policy is right now, what other special deals or promos they're offering just for us. So each panel of that brochure will be a different port and what's on offer there. And that will be in your bag.
But how do you get there?
How do we get a taxi
Yes,
there?
so that information will be there as well. Some of them are walking distance, some of them you will have to taxi.
Okay.
Some of that information I may go ahead and release in the Facebook group as we get closer, just so you can do your planning and whatnot.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, good question. Anything else? That was pretty much, you might recognize the squares that the slides, they've been up on social media if you've been following along. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Anything else that I missed?
How do you spell yarn?
Oh. Okay. Do you want to learn to knit? That's one thing I should say. Everyone should come with a basic knowledge of how to knit, purl, cast on, bind off, or if you're a crocheter, how to foundation. Just basics, It's not for the absolute beginner. There won't be someone available to teach how to knit or how to crochet, right? So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. If you have any questions, you can absolutely email the store, take a card, email me at my website.
Or my card, either one. That's right. If it has any question about knitting, I'm gonna throw it over.
So I totally skipped my bio. I knit and crochet for over 20 years now. I've been teaching both for over 12 years. The stitch marker thing has been the last 7 years, and I've been with this shop for almost a year now. It's in my bones, it's in my blood.
so who do we pay the yarn price to?
So the stitch package is, everything that we've talked about is $275. After you book your cruise, Carol will send you a unique code and a unique link that will purchase the stitch package from Finnegan's Run.
When do you have to pay that by?
Good question. So, recommend that you book soon for a couple reasons. One, Amy's not gonna answer this question probably. At a certain point, Royal Caribbean's gonna take the rest of my staterooms from me because they're gonna allocate them, they're gonna take them because I'm not booking them, and they're gonna make them available to the public. I still have like 20 staterooms or something like that, so I'm pretty healthy for that, maybe, Number 2, the sooner you book, the better information I have for being able to buy goodies for my goodie bag, and the more information Jax has so that she can buy the necessities for the knitting package. So we would appreciate it if you want to go, if you go ahead and book. And then I have a couple ladies who've already booked the cruise who are holding off on booking, with Jax. They're not on the distribution list, so they're not getting the information from here about the knitting program. We would very much like for you to go ahead and do that so that we can get the logistics taken care of and make sure we do our buys and have everything for everybody that everyone's gonna have fun with. Yes, right. Very true.
So pay for the cruise
And then pay for this.
package, but sooner than later.
Correct. So you would be looking at $500 per stateroom, plus your insurance within 14 days, depending on the type of insurance you choose. One of the insurance you don't have to buy until final payment, and then you would be looking at $275 for the knitting package. Right. For your initial outlay. Okay. All right. So
That's a lot of information, John.
it is. All right. So I know I have, am I getting information from everybody who took their suitcases full of patience? Am I getting all of that from you? I'm gonna go ahead and take that on faith that you're gonna give me your information. And you all have booked, all right? I have not introduced myself yet. Okay, so here's the deal. Amy and I were talking. The onboard credit was supposed to be for new bookings, but we have so many people on Facebook as well as here. We have several people who have already booked. So we're gonna draw here. And we're gonna do, if whoever, we might do an extra drawing, and it might be a slightly different amenity other than onboard credit, but I think you'll be happy with it. So we're gonna.
So am I already in there, or?
Did you take a suitcase?
Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah.
2 suitcases?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, okay.
we
Oh,
have suitcases.
okay.
Yes.
And then-
Yeah.
It's all about the destination. Now, what you don't know is that whatever destination your suitcase is, you're required to book a trip there within the next year.
There's always a catch.
So who has Sydney, Australia? No.
I don't know, I have Ukraine.
You. I did, funny story, I did have 2 very nice 84-year-old ladies who were booked on a river cruise from Moscow to St. Petersburg who called me and they were like, can we cancel? They've already canceled for you, you're all good. So they're going to Sydney and New Zealand instead, so, yes. Yeah, very funny. One other thing, just perchance, if you have any first responder, military affiliation, anything like that, please let me know as well, because that's always good to know. I know Jax's husband is
Retired Marine.
retired Marine. I am a former Marine. I did 12 years. My husband was 12 years, but that's how we met. And so, thank you. So definitely let us know that kind of information too, because there's always a nice little, there might be a nice discount there somewhere for you too. So, okay, so we're gonna draw. Amy, come on up.
I was gonna say, I was like, I don't know if I should be up here. Wasn't sure. I think it's because I'm the non-biased person here. I thought you worked with both of them, so
All right,
pick at random.
Moscow. St. Petersburg is on there somewhere.
Banff?
Banff. Anybody for Banff?
What?
Banff.
Bam.
Like
Banff,
Banff,
Canada. Canada.
Oh,
Ski resort. It's a ski resort.
Yeah, no, and we might be at this for a while because I got a lot of these in here, so. Okay, geography lesson.
Tasmania.
In order to win, you have to recite all of the previously.
Someone's gonna get this one. Okay, let's see. Barcelona. No.
Who do you
Cancun.
have? Cancun, and your sister has
Oh, I forgot.
Cairo.
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 Yes.
Cairo!
Congratulations.
And what
Your
does that
name's There we go.
And then we're gonna do one more.
Okay, we'll do
right?
one more. Yes.
Monte Carlos.
Oh, that's nice.
Galapagos.
I'm giving everybody ideas here, though, right? There's method to my madness.
I'm not sure.
Cancun.
Oh, Cancun.
No, Cancun. Oh, I think.
My sister and mine,
Oh, I think there might be a little bit there. Are you gonna room together?
yeah.
Oh, that's.
I'll
Are
do-
you
I'll do
okay?
it.
You do okay. I'm like, okay, that's just not there.
Okay. You guys are in the lucky cabin apparently. So
Yes.
all the drinks are on her on the cruise.
Yeah.
If you need a buddy in the casino, I think she's the one.
The R
Yeah.
She doesn't have King. Diane, she
Lucerne.
does not have Cancun.
Lucerne. Wasn't there a Lucerne that you drew? Sean?
Yes, I grew a. I have a Lucerne.
Yes. Who was that one for?
But Diane Schmidt is saying she has Cancun. No, she doesn't.
How would she do it?
I have to go back to the other.
Okay.
Yeah, because these are.
Okay, well whoever you typed
Okay.
in got that is our other winner.
Okay.
And I'll go over.
Yay! All right. So we have three lucky winners. So excuse me. Sorry.
I know you just got off the cruise and I know you tested negative,
No.
so we're good.
It's all good. I know. Okay. Any last questions? I'm going to be here for a bit. I have my laptop. I can collect information right now if you want, or you could take my card, which is on the table if you'd rather just give me a call, or we get the information over the phone. It's not a problem. But again, please, cruise with confidence is very important. So book by March 31st.
So how much do you have to pay by March 31st?
Deposited? It has to be deposited by March 31st, not just booked. It needs to be deposited by March 31st, so it would be $500 per stateroom.
First price, your single, and then
500. Right, right, exactly. That's
I
correct.
don't know. I just look at the thing and figure out.
Any last questions? Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
Stupid, but,
No stupid question.
what do they provide the shampoo, body wash, conditioner, blow dryer?
Okay, I'm gonna give you the answer to this instead of making Amy answer this question. Yes. However, depending on the stateroom category, i.e. if you're in anything but a suite, they have this combined stuff.
It's like a wall unit.
It's a wall unit, but isn't it
Yeah.
a combined shampoo and conditioner?
It's yeah, if you need conditioner, bring your own conditioner.
Bring your own shampoo and conditioner. That's so hard. So,
Disney
yeah,
does that now,
so-
they have a wall dispenser for your soap and.
I'm not a fan of the combined, like my 18-year-old boy thinks that combined body wash, shampoo, and conditioner is the greatest invention since the beginning of time. My daughter thinks it's the most disgusting thing ever. So, you know, it's kind of one of those things of, and I always bring a nice bar soap. There is a hair dryer, but you have to hold the button. So you have to hold the button while it works.
It's
So
like a
it's the
hotel
same.
one.
It's like a hotel. Bring it.
I will tell you though, I brought my own blow dryer, which you're allowed to do.
She's got
Do we blow a circuit then?
No, but my hair steams. And I definitely got the fire alarm set off.
So that's a great question. So the first cruise my husband and I did, we were just out of the Marine Corps, and he had done a 6-month float to with the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Brigade. And we were in there, we had our daughter, and I was taking a shower, and I was taking a nice, luxurious, long shower, and he opens the door, and he's like, "You're gonna make him run out of water, you need to go faster." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" You know, I get out of the shower, I start blow drying my hair, he's like, "You're gonna blow a circuit." And I was like, we are in a resort. This is not an amphib. This is a very nice cruise ship. This is a totally different scenario here. And now he's kind of a pinkies up cruiser. You know, he finds his bar and he's like, "Yeah, this is the greatest." But yeah, so no, you will not blow a circuit.
Are they limited to 3-ounce bottles?
Only, no, not in your carry-on. So So
Or
it's,
check-in.
right, so on your carry-on bag, you know, through TSA, it's gonna be 3.5 ounce bottles. The ship doesn't care. You can bring a 32 ounce bottle of shampoo. They don't care. You can have as much of that stuff in your, but if you cannot bring an iron. For all of you who are participating in the knitting program, you may not bring scissors greater than 4 inches. If you do that, I have to collect them from you and check them in separately. So you may not bring scissors more than 4 inches, because I'm not gonna do that. There's no reason to do that.
All of these things that pertain to what we can and can't bring in our project bag, that's gonna be some of that content that I'm gonna put out in our Facebook group.
Yeah.
Or if you're not on Facebook, I will email it to you.
Right,
Yeah.
so you can't bring the 5-inch scissors, but you can bring knitting needles that will go, you know, right. That's right.
But a little tip, you know, since you can't bring a steamer or an iron, you know, they do have laundry services on board. But if you wanted to, you know, they sell those little downy, like,
Wrinkle-free.
yeah, the wrinkle release.
And halfway through the cruise, they'll do a laundry special where it's stuff as much laundry into this bag and it's gonna be like $35 and then bring it back the next day. It's well worth it to me.
Agreed.
I mean, I make my clothes very small. And I stuff,
They don't
you know,
need
a
that
lot
for
into that
themselves.
bag that they give me. It's worth it.
Did you answer?
They do not have self-service laundry on Royal Caribbean.
Good to know.
All right, well, thank you so much. Please eat more food because we need to eat it. Take the plate home with you because it's gonna go bad. Thank you so much for coming, and I will be here with my laptop. Please feel free to come up, ask questions,
Thank you.
anything.
It was nice to see you.